Hey, peace and blessings, family. And we're back again talking about spiritual traditions, spiritual paths. And I am joined by Iya Olori. Yes. Pronounce your full name for me.
Sure. So my full name is Olori Oyadeli Ogunshina.
What does that mean?
So Olori is a title. It means queen, which I am. I was coronated or crowned in the Republic of Benin back in 2003. Oyadele means Oya is here. Oya has come back home. And Ogunshina means Ogun opens the path or the gate. So that is my spiritual name. Oyadele Ogunshina. But everyone in the ATR world knows me as Olori.
Olori. So when most people get their name, their spiritual name, is
Mhm.
there a Risha that crowns them? Is it always in their name or no?
9 times out of 10, yes.
Okay.
9
Okay.
times out of 10, yes. Sometimes you get your Orisha name, it is if it's divined upon and your head or your crown Orisha is known um, emphatically, then per the Odu, it may state that you are supposed to have this particular name. Some people don't receive an Orisha name until maybe they get initiated. So, each Elay runs things differently. It just depends on what that particular godparent wants to do for that particular godchild.
Okay. Okay. So how did you first discover this whole tradition?
Girl, so my journey, woo, child. I was born and raised Baptist,
Okay.
but it never really spoke to me because I had questions. It was so many inaccuracies in the Bible, and I never felt like when I prayed that Jesus was listening to me per se. It wasn't until I got to college that I had a professor. His name was Baba Leon Hosey. He's now ancestor, E by A, and he taught classes on Africa. One of the classes was People in Politics of Africa, where he introduced to us African belief systems. He taught us to reprogram our thinking and stop calling it a religion because religion means that it's man-made and it's dogmatic. So he said it's a belief system, and he focused on at the time Akan, which is out of Ghana, um, Asar Asat, which is out of Kemet or Egypt, and the old schoolers used to call Isheshe Yoruba, and those were the main three. And so after I graduated from Coppin, because I'm a product of an HBCU,
All right. Where'd you go?
Coppin State in Baltimore, I went to
All right.
Virginia Union for 2 years in Richmond, and then I graduated from Coppin.
All right.
When I graduated from Coppin, I got a job down in DC, and this was in the mid 90s. And so I started looking for traditional houses to join. I specifically wanted a house where everyone looked like me.
Okay.
And so I went to and I saw a set service, and no shade to them, I was bored out of my mind. I was just bored. It was too laid back for me. I went to an Acon, which is an Akan service. Loved it, absolutely loved it. But it didn't call me as loud as Ishe Shay. And so I was on a journey to look for an Elay, which is a spiritual house in DC. Unfortunately, when you are a practitioner, sometimes you don't have the luxury of having your spiritual house in your backyard. So my first Elay was in New Jersey. But let me rewind. When I was in college, um, Baba Hosley decided to have an age grade society, which he said was comparable to Greek fraternities. He couldn't understand how Black folk wanted to be in a sorority or fraternity because, like Asa Hilliard said a long time ago, You suffer from double consciousness when you try to be a black Greek. There's no such thing. But I digress. So I got chosen to be a part of um, his female age grade society. And part of our initiation process was to go down to Sheldon, South Carolina to Oyotunji African Village. And so he wanted to see how we would conduct ourselves in the African village if we could hang. And we went down there and I was hooked. You know, everyone there looked like us. People were speaking Yoruba and English. Um, Everyone had on African clothes. It was, you know, drumming and singing. Everyone was warm and welcoming. And I said, this is it. This is where I want to practice. And so fast forward to me moving to DC after college, I couldn't find um, a spiritual home that called to me. I found one in Jersey. After I left that particular house, I hooked up with an Oshun priestess in Maryland. Her name was Iya Oshun Bamake Aduke Ibae. And she became my godmother. And she was the epitome of Oshun, the epitome. And so, under her guidance and her tutelage, I was blessed to go back down to Oyotunji and get initiated into the Gungun Society. And then a year later, I was on a plane going to Dahomey, which everyone knows is Benin Republic, to get initiated to Oya. And then 9 months after that, I was back on the plane going back to get initiated to Shango. And so that has been my journey. I, after my godmother passed, I studied under a few priests, specifically Gromambo Angela Novayan Adayazo, who unfortunately recently passed, Ibae. She was a high priestess in voodoo in Philadelphia, and she taught me a lot. And so dealing with her and meeting new people, I eventually met my current godfather, who is the former Araba to Ikiti State, Chief Bode Fashui. And I've been rocking with him ever since.
Right on.
And so
So,
that's my journey.
so how many Orishas are you initiated to?
So technically, I'm initiated to three: Oya, Shango, and Ifa. We don't consider the ancestors Orisha.
Okay.
So, but I am initiated to that Egbe or that society.
Okay. So what's the difference between when you say egg bay or society? What does that mean?
So back in the day, and I'm talking about in the 70s and 80s and probably mid 90s, people used to call, they didn't use the term Egbe. They would say cult. And, you know, unfortunately, cult has a bad connotation. So it's probably been since maybe the 2000s that people stopped using the word cult and they use the term Egbe, meaning that society. When you are initiated to a particular orisha, if you go to a drumming or to a festival and they call for Egbe or Ya, then all of the Oya priests and priestesses would get up and dance, you know, show their reverence, etc. So that's the difference.
Okay. Okay. So in your journey, have you come across like people who weren't really in good character?
Girl. Ah,
Because I know
don't,
that's the basis for, it's all about that good character.
don't get me started. Don't get me started.
And what did you do? I mean, like when you come across someone who's not in good character, how do you deal with that?
Wow. So me, as a back in the day, I had no filter at all, none. As I get old, I'm trying to mellow out. I'm trying to think before I speak. But what I find disheartening is when you have male priests that prey on females. and they use fear, they use bullying, sexual harassment, um, to inflict their um, their bad ways on females. Countless stories I've heard about sisters who were violated sexually under the guise of Orisha. You
Mm,
have some babalawos out here, for instance, um, the story that was told to me from a babalawo said that there was a babalawo in New York who had, I don't know if it was a client or a godchild, but the sister had cancer and it didn't look, her situation looked bleak. And the babalawo told the sister that if she wanted to get healed, he had to have sex with her.
wait,
That he,
what?
yes, he had to have sex with her, and that he was going to put the medicine on his penis and insert her, sexually. Long story short, unfortunately, the sister died. So when I asked the Baba, um, give me a name, he didn't want to do that.
Mm,
You have
that's
some Babalawos who are predators to men. I've heard stories of men being sexually violated under the guise of spirituality or Orisha. I know one particular Babalawo who died a horrible death because he raped a guy during his initiation. It's a lot of stories. A lot of times people don't want to um, really go into detail about it. They are ashamed.
mm,
They are afraid of retribution. They're afraid of if they call the particular person out, that that person's minions will come after them, threatening, send juju and stuff like that. But like I tell my godchildren, I don't fear no one. I don't fear no one that's walking on this earth, because if man put a curse on you, man can take curse off of you. And so if you speaking your truth, your truth doesn't have to be validated by someone's ignorance. That's a quote from Baba Dick Gregory, E by A.
mm-hmm.
When you encounter people who have been violated, you gotta do something. And so a lot of times, people who come into this belief system looking for elevation, looking for salvation, looking for peace, looking for enlightenment, and then they meet with someone who has questionable moral character, someone who is wretched, someone who ain't worth a damn. They leave, and they'll either go back to the church, go back to the mosque, or they'll just say to hell with it. They want to lump everyone who practice African spirituality as being shady, being a scam. And we all aren't like that. But I find that if you know someone is doing bad and you're not calling that person to the carpet, then you're just as guilty as the person who is committing the crime.
I agree. I agree.
Period.
I
And
agree.
so, a lot of people in the ATR community don't like me. I don't give a damn, because I will call you out. If I find out that you are shady and I have receipts to back up my claim, I have to call you out because I have to protect the unsuspecting. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the Oya in me. Oya champions the underdog. She fights for those who have no voice. She gives a voice to the voiceless. She empowers those who are powerless. And the belief system is not bad. It's a beautiful belief system if it is practiced genuinely, but you have a few bad apples that will ruin it. And it's not just Ishe Shea. I'm talking about Candomblé, 21 divisions,
I got you.
Santeria, Lukumi, Voodoo, be it African Voodoo or Haitian Voodoo, Shango Baptist, or be it you name it. It depends. We got Ishe Shea, we got our fair share of scoundrels, to say the least. But There have been priests that if I'm in a spiritual setting and I know the person ain't worth a damn, I tell them, don't speak to me. I don't have no words for you. I'm not going to embrace you. I'm not going to kunle to you. You know, I'm a show restraint and not try to rip your head off
Mm,
because you're taking people's innocence and their money for
right
whatever
on,
reason. You
right
know,
on. Yeah, I think that's a struggle even in regular religion. Like the bad character people kind of always show up. Like I think that's a part of the human condition. I mean, if you will, like in societies, like it's gonna be some crazy people up in here, or people who character is not good. Like
exactly,
if they was like that in the regular world, like if they was in Christianity or Islam, and then they found this, they're gonna be pretty much the same person. Like, you
exactly.
know what I mean? So I totally get you with that. Let's talk about Oya for just a minute. Um, I remember first coming into the tradition and someone telling me about Oya, and all they could tell me is that she's the cemetery gates, and they give you all the scary stuff, and I'll be like, oh my god. So, could you tell me, since you are initiated to her, what is Oya about?
So it's Aya,
Oh yeah.
Aya, and her name literally means she tore. So she is the tempest. She is the water deity. Keep in mind, she's African, but over here we equate her, or she's been equated with the cemetery. So Oya governs over the um, Niger River. She was Shango's favorite wife. It is said that excuse me, it said that Shango cannot go into battle without Oya. She is from Iraq. She is a queen in her own right. She's the queen of the marketplace. So she is about her coins. She is about money. She is a very shrewd businesswoman. Oya is the mother of nine. So she gave birth to Egungun. Oya is the last breath you take before she ushers your spirit into the spirit world. Oya has the ability to call forth the dead or to send them back. She is good friends with Iku because she works alongside spirits. So a lot of people think that Oya is just this, tall Amazon who wears a beard and is scary. But Oya is graceful. Oya is a queen. Oya is beautiful. Oya is powerful. As I stated before, she champions the underdog. My elders in Dahomey told me that no one, specifically no Orisha, wants to go to war with Oya because they would absolutely lose. Oya is just that powerful. She is the wind that you feel um, on any given day. She can come in the form of a hurricane or tornado. Um, she's extremely um, I don't want to say impersonable, but she's about business.
Hmm.
You call upon Oya when you absolutely need to get something done because I always tell my godchildren, if you need something done correctly, get a Omo Oya, which means child of Oya to do it. And it'll absolutely get done. She isn't about, excuses, a whole bunch of who shot John and what happened was.
Right.
She's about getting the job done. That is Oya. And so a lot of people are afraid of her because they really don't have too much information written about her from a Black perspective. I'm currently writing a book about Oya from my experience in Dahomey. And so part of my book will have me to go back to Dahomey so I can interview some elders there who can go more into depth because I want my book to have pictures and hopefully I can do a video too About, oh yeah, because we need more books written about the Orisha from a black perspective.
Right
Her
on.
voice needs to be heard. You know, sometimes it gets a little disheartening. Everyone wants to be a child of Ashun, or everyone wants to be, you know, a child of Yemaja. Every male wants to be a Shango.
Hmm.
But, you know, when you talk about Oya, the only time they think about Oya is around Halloween.
Oh
That's
wow.
it. And it's like, no, you know, Oya, um, membership has its privileges. If she selects you to be a part of her egbe or her society, baby, you win. Because I don't know no broke Oyas.
Right
You
on.
know, my Oya has taken me wherever I want to go. I'll go to her and say, I would like to go here, here, and here. And she'll make it happen. So it's a lot of misconceptions about Oya. But I tell folk, unless you get on a plane and you go to the source where the belief system is practiced, you can only speculate about what you heard,
Right
thinking
on.
the truth.
So with that being said, you brought up thy homie. I wanted to ask you, did you see the Woman King at all?
Yes, ma'am. I sure
All
enough
right.
did.
So and you talked about thy homie. I'm sorry, I meant to show that again. You talked about thy homie, and um, first of all, how did you feel about the Woman King? Because um um I mean, how can we talk about the homie? I liked in the film they did have some Ifa in there, Shay Shay in there, but what did you think about it? And did it put you in the mind of Oya at all? Or
Yes.
okay,
What I loved about that movie, because I wasn't going to go see it. I was going to wait until um, it came. I was able to stream it, and then I was going to go. You know, I was going to watch it either on Netflix or Amazon. And the sister, Aloye Taisi Abiye, who wrote the Isheshe workbook, she said, "No, sis, you got to go see it." So I was like, okay. I love that movie so much. Now, it's not a documentary,
right,
it's edutainment. It's a movie.
right.
And so what I shared with the Aloye was that you saw different aspects of Oya in that film.
Mm,
Especially at the end, um, after it was all said and done, you saw a softer side of Viola Davis's character. People think that us Yas are just all 24/7. No, we do have a softer side too. Um, I love the fierceness. Um, I love the passion. It's so much I want to say about the movie, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
I done seen it 4 times. I've been taking young girls to go see the movie. Like some were going tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I teach a lot of schools because
Yeah,
I just think it's so empowering. Like, how
it's
could you not feel
very
empowered?
empowering. Um, what it shows is that no matter what, they each had one another's backs.
Hmm.
Even during adversity, at the end, when Oba got what he got, I said, the elder said, no man wants to go to war with Oya because you
Hmm.
will absolutely lose. And he did. And so he got what he got. To me, that movie was beautiful.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact of the history, again, it's not a documentary.
Right.
And so that movie showed women being empowered, women being strong, women being vulnerable.
Hmm.
it showed women taking care of their business and how much we can endure under adversity.
Hmm.
It just, that movie is awesome. Awesome. I wanted to do the the chant when at the end I was like, no, I need to control myself. But if you had stayed while the credits rolled,
I
you
seen that extra
showed,
scene.
yes.
Yes.
And she was pouring libation to the ancestors and honoring the ones who were no longer with them. I said, this is so damn powerful.
Mm.
So powerful. And as a Ianifa, I specifically enjoyed her pounding E King, marking Odu, and then interpreting what the Odu was saying so that Viola's character could get a better understanding of what lied ahead in the future. But I'm
Hmm.
glad that Viola listened and did the Eba, which was
Yes.
important. In our tradition, what's the point of getting a reading if you're not going to do the Abba? Abba means the sacrifice. You don't necessarily have to sacrifice a chicken or a goat or a pigeon, but you have to give up something to get something. And some people, they don't want to do that. They want quick fix. But that movie, if it doesn't win an Oscar, I'm sure they're going to get a lot of accolades and awards from like TV One and whatever other black or so-called black um, show wants to give them because it was awesome, and all of them, they earned their accolade.
So the other beauty that I liked about the movie itself and the story they were telling, that's like the diaspora story. So it doesn't belong just to African Americans. Like that cast was actresses from South Africa,
Right,
Uganda, Britain, Nigeria, I mean just all
all
America.
over.
I mean all over because really all of us are a part of that story. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying? Like I feel like we don't sometimes I hear this argument about British black actors taking jobs from American actors or and I'm like, y'all, like, are you serious? Like nobody can really tell y'all apart half the time. You know what I mean? So I thought that was beautiful that I watched a lot of their interviews and I was just blown away. Like I think everybody they had in there was perfect.
I agree. I
Everybody.
agree. The casting was spot on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was visually stunning. I love the
Yes.
cinematography. I wanted the outfits.
Me too.
I want my house to have that bathhouse.
Yes.
I want I want to redo my shrine room so it looks like the way that shrine was shown outside. It was just, they put money into it and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It didn't look like it was done on a Tubi
Yeah.
budget, if
Yeah.
I'm making sense.
No, really. Well, it
Yeah.
took her 6 years to make that to get the green light. I mean, to really get the support they needed to do that film. And I think the beauty for another beauty for me is like this wasn't fantasy. No matter how they're telling the story, we knew that there was some women who lived like that in that time.
Yes.
And we never get to see how black women, because they also made a lot of sacrifices to be who they were. And I think sometimes we leave that out. We see a lot of glamour and glitz or whatever we think it is, but we never look at the sacrifices people are making to be whatever they're going
Mhm.
to be. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We just think it's like, I want to be a star, but you have no idea the sacrifices people go through to be
Yep.
where you see them shining. You have no idea.
Exactly.
How did you feel about the way they presented Isheshe in that?
I loved it. I loved it because it wasn't they took the spookism out of
Hmm.
it and it was just very natural. And if you are a practitioner, if you are an E5 practitioner, you're like, girlfriend was spot on. Spot on. I really appreciate it because very rarely do we get to see anything like that and it's not done as a joke. is not, something to be made fun of. Like, look at them people with them nuts and the
Yeah.
board, what are they doing? Because
Yeah.
they never do that to Islam.
No.
They don't do it to Judaism. They
Right.
don't do it to Christianity.
Right
But
on.
they think that ATRs are meant to be the butt of, you know, jokes, and we're not. Our belief system predates Abrahamic religions by 5,000 years.
Wow.
We're not the
Okay.
Johnny come latelys at
Right
all.
on. Right on. So when they were showing those particular scenes and you was in the theater, did you hear any comments? Because I heard a few comments each time I went. I'm like, some people just so ignorant. It was, you know what I'm saying?
No, let me tell you,
Okay.
when I got there, I was like, damn, it was only four of us in the theater. Soon as they finished running like the what do you call it? The pre-shows.
Previews. Yeah,
Yeah,
the previews.
previews. It started to fill up. By the time they got to the first scene when the women were in the grass,
Hmm.
the theater was packed.
Okay.
Packed. And so you could hear a pin drop. There was applause where applause was warranted. There was laughter when laughter was warranted. And at the end, people clapped.
Hmm.
And see, I'm a nerd. I stay because I want to see, okay, who did the makeup, who did the costumes, who did
Yeah.
the catering, where was the film, who was this character. That I stayed and I saw her pouring libation. I was like, oh, as an Egungun priestess, that just touched my heart because we never see that. We never see us portrayed in a positive light on the big screen. Never.
Mm, mm. Wow. You mentioned Shango,
Mm.
that you are initiated to Shango. Who is Shango?
Shango is a deified ancestor. He was the fourth Alafine or king of Oyo, ancient Oyo. Some people say he was a third, but nevertheless, he was a real person. Shango is a manly man. Shango detests liars.
Mm,
Shango rules with the iron fist, but he too champions the underdog. He protects women and children. Shango has a close relationship with Obatala. Shango, during his time, he had three wives: Oba, Oshun, and Oya. Shango, his egg bay is worldwide. I don't care where you go in the world. If you say Shango, everyone, be they in Brazil, Trinidad, Cuba, Puerto Rico, DC, New York, South Africa, they know who Shango is. He's a very powerful deity. He, when it's thundering and lightning, he's that boom that you hear, followed by the lightning. He is powerful, very powerful. And he is a deity that you don't want to cross and get on their bad side.
right on. Okay. What about Ifa? You are initiated to Ifa.
Hmm. So Ifa is the voice of Olodumare. Olodumare, in our tradition, is the creator. He is the supreme being. Ifa or Rumala is the witness of faith, the second to Olodumare.
Hmm.
In the pantheon, you would have Olodumare, and then Ifa, the Orisha, and then us. That's a loose translation
Hmm.
of the
Okay.
pantheon. Um, Ifa is he's the highest level that you can go when you are uh, getting initiated in our belief system. meaning you don't have any priests to Olodumare. There's no such thing. You either are an Olarisha, meaning you're initiated to the Orisha, you are Awo, which is male initiate, male Ifa initiate with 17 years or less of training, or you're a Babalao, which 17 or more years of training, or Ianifa. That's it. Um, I just had a brain fart.
That's all right.
Ifa is a way of life. So when people talk about Ifa, not only are they talking about the way of life, but they're also talking about Arumala as well.
Okay. Okay. So let's look at. I know you said you are. Um, I don't want to say initiated because you said it's not like that, but to the Egungun.
Yes, Egungun is ancestors collective.
Okay. Okay. So what is that?
So that would be spirits, ancestors.
Okay.
Um your Egun would be your immediate or your blood, like your grandma, your great aunt, your uncle, those who are in your blood. But Egungun is the ancestral collective.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Hmm.
So it do you find that there are a lot of people who belong to that society or no? Do you get chosen for that? Does that come up in reading? How do you know that you could belong to that or you get chosen for that to be a part of the Egungun society?
So let me share a little story with you.
Okay.
When one of my best friends is the last wife of the first king of Oyatunji,
Okay.
and her name is Ashimbami. So Ashimbami, when she was living in Oyatunji, she had said that one day her and a couple of young priestesses were walking about, and they happened upon a plantation and a slave house. And I told her, shut up, don't say nothing else. I'm coming down the following weekend because I want to see it for myself. So I go down there, and we had to walk a country mile. That's putting it lightly, but we had to walk to get to this plantation. We get to the plantation. I see the houses on stilts, and I was in awe because you read about it in the books, but your school ain't gonna be like, okay, instead of going to King's Dominion, we're gonna go to a plantation. They don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
So I see the house, and I'm like, the moment I walk up to the house and I bend down, I see two children staring back at me.
Wow.
And I'm like, shit, y'all see these kids? And then I could hear people inside the house. So the people at the plantation had nailed the door and the window shut because apparently Ashambami and the priest they were leaving offerings of food and candle and drink for the spirits that
Right.
resided in that house. And I could hear the spirit say, let us out, we need some air. And I didn't have anything to try to pry open a nail. So when I came back down the steps, I see this old man leaning up against the tree, and he was smoking a pipe. And I was like, bruh. He was like, I can't do nothing, I'm old. And it dawned on me that I'm seeing and hearing spirits. So as we were walking, because we walked like in a big circle, I could hear drumming. I could hear the Africans um, talking to me, wanting to relate a story. Ocean Bamey had brought her notepad and pen because she was writing everything down. She
Mm.
was supposed to write a book about that plantation and the people on it. I could hear the Native Americans clear across on the other side of the river. And that whole experience, them spirits were jumping out of me. It was, you know, that scene in Ghost when Whoopi Goldberg was in her parlor
Mm-hmm.
and the ghosts were jumping in and out of her.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that was me. They
Wow.
wore me out. And so by the time we were about to leave, there was like some pots and utensils and things. And I had really wanted to take it as a souvenir. And one of the spirits, her name was Big Mom, and she said, "No, don't take it," because she cried many a tears in that pot. And she said, if you take this pot back with you, it's only going to bring you grief. And
Mm.
so we left. And by the time we made it back to Ocean Baby's her house, because she lived at Oyatunji, I was worn out. She was like, you know, you got to take a spiritual bath. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. So she told Kabiesi, the Oba of Oyatunji, the first king, what had happened. And he did divination. And she came back and she said, "You, my dear, are a medium. You need to get initiated to the Egungun Society." And so 9 months after that, I was making my way back to Oyatunji to get initiated into the Egungun Society.
Wow.
And so a lot of times when people need pots or shrines, when they need to be elevated to certain levels, meaning if they need to get initiated or go through a ritual, it will come up in divination.
Gotcha.
Um, I don't know if someone says, "I want to get initiated to a Gungun society," and someone will just initiate them, they should have divination perform, because it may not be that person's path for them to be an Egungun priest or priestess, if I'm making sense. It may not
Yes.
be in their destiny.
Yeah. It's
Not
like when
everyone is
people see
called
those. Huh?
no, I was going to say it's not, everyone is not called to the priesthood, be it a Gungun or a Risha.
Gotcha. That's like when people say, "I know that I'm Oshun," and then they get their reading and the Shun ain't nowhere in there. It's like you
Girl,
know, you want to be so because you think that's cute. Like I want them boots. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
it's just not the same thing. So
yeah.
when you are a gungun priest, what are your duties? What do you do?
So, as an Egungun priest, if you are trained, you can perform Itutu rites or you can do funerals, but you have to be trained.
Right on.
You should be able to pass spirits so that you could do ikujokos or misas or seances. You should be trained on how to banish spirits. You should be trained on how to spiritually clean someone's house, how to perform exorcisms and things like that, how to elevate spirits. So in my Elay, we do all of that. And when it's warm, um, we normally go to black cemeteries and we do ritual to send those ancestors to the light, because some people seem to think, well, when you die you automatically go to heaven. That's not the case. A lot of times you have people who are wandering spirits, they don't know that they're dead, and so it's almost like they're in limbo, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
give them a little push and tell them to go to the light. I
Right on.
started once I got initiated. I was initiated in April of 98. um that summer, um I was back, matter of fact, in July, when James Bird, do you remember that brother?
Yes, that was drugged to death.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That hurt me to my core. And so what I did was I got with my godfather in Egungun and I said, I need to do some sort of appeasement for those who died during the Mayafa, those who died during enslavement.
Mhm.
those who died during Jim Crow, and
Mm.
those who died up to now, meaning James Byrd. And so this is when the internet just started to take off. I was able to print out. I got, and I still got it. It's a book about this thick of names going back to like the 1860s of
Mhm.
men, women, and children who had died, um, either on plantations, lynchings, whatever. And it was a 3-day ritual. And I had put the call out to other Egungun priests. No one showed. And so
Mm.
it was me and my godfather. We were out doing um doing the ritual to send those souls to the light.
Mm.
And it was a powerful ritual. And I believe James Byrd name was probably the last name that I had called um after we had finished the ritual.
Mm.
And so
Have you?
I've been doing that, ongoing.
So how often do you do it? Are you?
In the summertime, we haven't had a chance this summer, unfortunately, because I've been so busy doing spiritual work damn near every weekend if I wasn't traveling. But last year, my godchildren will tell you, every Sunday we were in the cemetery uplifting spirits. So I do it as often because I've been tasked to go to black cemeteries first and send those souls to the light before I can go to other cemeteries or graveyards and worry about those African. And when I say African, I mean black folk.
I get that.
Yeah, African spirits. That's my primary focus is our people.
Mm. Okay. Have you been to the lynching memorial
No,
in Montgomery, Alabama?
no, we haven't gotten there yet because I mean Maryland has a lot of black cemeteries, and
Mhm.
so we still in Maryland.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot because my goal is to go every place where it's black cemetery. Because unfortunately, a lot of the black cemeteries and graveyards
I
are
get that.
forgotten.
Mhm.
And so when we go, we do the best that we can, and we don't leave because I will divine to see, okay, have we successfully done what we came here to do? And a lot of times we got to come back and we got to do other things. We might have to sacrifice an animal or two, but we do what we got to do.
Right on. I think that's important. I really do because I think there's so many stories there that we don't even know.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? So that's really really important work.
Thank
You
you.
you mentioned your elay. What is an elay and what is the purpose of an elay?
So, Ile means spiritual house in Yoruba. The purpose of it is to groom the next generation of priests. So when I can't say when I retire, but when I'm no longer on this plane physically, then I'll feel confident that my godchildren can pick up the mantle where I left off. So in my spiritual house, I am training them to be the best priest that they can be within their capability. So
Mm.
they'll tell you I'm old school, I'm tough, but I'm fair. I don't cut corners. I don't make up rituals as I go. Um, I ask a lot, but I give a lot.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. So when you're in an elay, are you supposed to stay in that elay forever, or
It's
how?
up to the individuals. Some people come, get what they need, and they move on. You do have some who will come and stay. They're comfortable, they're happy. I tell other priests that's the hazards of the business. You will have some godchildren who are ride or die, who will stay with you to the end. And then you have some that think the grass is greener on the other side, or maybe they don't like it being so strict,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not for them. You can't take it personal. You
Right on.
know, it's a person's personal choice. You can't be upset, you know, when a godchild leaves. Just, you know, wish them well. Don't wish them ill. And you focus on the ones who decide to stay with you and who want to learn under you.
Right
That's
on.
about all you can do.
That makes sense. In your tradition, do y'all have like a southern, like how the Southern Baptists have their conventions, leadership convention conference? Do y'all do something where all the Elays kind of get together, or no?
Not particularly. You may have if it's like a huge Elay and they have different chapters or branches in different cities, they may come together. I know in the DMV, which means DC, Maryland, Virginia, in that
Right.
area, we
Yeah.
have this thing called Sacred Healing Circle, where all of the ATRs will come together and it's like drumming, singing, people, you know, possessing or mounting their deities. It's like a healing, um, lack of a better word, symposium or
Right.
festival. They do that, but for the most part, no.
Okay. I just so do you ever so when you look at the different branches, I'm gonna just say like if it's Ishe or Lokumi or Santeria or whatever we have,
Mhm.
are there times where those different branches kind of get a chance to work together a little bit?
Yeah, if they have like sometimes festivals,
Okay.
you know, like in Philly in June
Sunday.
there's a festival called Odun Day.
Yeah.
It's a street festival, but it started out as a festival to honor Oshun.
Uh-huh.
So the Iya who started it was a Lukumi priestess. And I believe that you have other ATRs that will come and support because during the festival, they'll have a processional. They parade the egungun. Um, we have offerings. People take their offerings to the river for Oshun, and that's supposed to be the official start to the street festival. But you know, that's just a minute few who may come and participate. And you can tell who are practitioners because we're all in white. Some of
Right
us
on.
may wear our Orisha accents, meaning by me being a child of Oya, I might have on white, maybe a purple hat wrap or a purple
Gotcha.
arrow. You know, someone, if they are Ogun, they may have on green, white and green. So it just depends.
Okay. What is the purpose of all the white?
So white, white is light. White, white keeps you in check, meaning you're not gonna cut up and act a fool when you in all white because you know that you are doing something spiritual, and so you kind of don't want to get dirty. Sometimes it's unavoidable. You know, there's a thing you have your working whites, and then you have your festive whites. So when you see practitioners and are white, then you know that they um number one that they are ATR practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, they're probably going to a function, and it just shows respect for the Orisha. Sometimes you can wear other colors. Yes, you can wear other colors, but white it shows your humbleness and servitude to the Orisha.
Right on. Right on. What do you call it when someone is just starting their journey? Is there a certain name for them?
Yeah, so Alejos or Alejos are outsiders. Once they find a Elay and they join, but however the protocol is to join that particular Elay, then they become an Aberisha. If they go through the ranks and get initiated to the priesthood, to the Orisha, they become an Olarisha. or they become a Baba or Iya. If they are called to Ifa, then they become an Awo or a Babalao or an Iyanifa in our tradition.
Okay. What are the differences between all of those different traditions? Are there like little idiosyncrasies or are there major differences?
Yeah, there's major differences. I remember a long time ago when I went to a fete. A fete is a festival or drumming in Haitian voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the loa came down. They said that the land would dictate how the religion will be practiced. And so, for example, take candomblé. It said that outside of Nigeria, that Brazil has the second largest
Population.
population of Black folk. So
Mm-hmm.
those who practice candomblé, um, they do so, but they speak Portuguese.
Mm,
So those who know Yoruba may sprinkle their Yoruba in with their Portuguese, but those are some differences there. I forget up until what period they didn't have any, and I could be wrong. They didn't have any like Babalaos or Ianifas. It may be
mm,
up until maybe the 80s, I think, that folks started to go to Nigeria, get initiated. Nigerians started to migrate to Brazil and
mm,
initiated. So now you have um, Ifa priests in Brazil. But up until then, you had the Iyas, which they call May, MAE. And I forget what they called the Babas, but they were
mm,
doing all of the work. In Cuba, they practice regla de ocha. And so they would synchronize their Orisha with Catholic saints.
mm,
So they would sprinkle their Yoruba with Spanish. And so that's how the wherever the African was dropped off during the Ma'afa. And for those who don't know what Ma'afa is, it means transatlantic slave trade. Wherever our people were dropped off, the belief system morphed from Isheshe into Candomblé in Brazil, Regla de Ocha in Cuba, Haitian Voodoo in Haiti, Shango Baptist in Trinidad and Tobago,
mm.
um, Obia in Jamaica, Santeria in Puerto Rico. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's how the belief system morph. But make no mistake about it. Ishe is the foundation from which all Orisha-based religions sprout.
Why? Well, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But in North America and in the U.S., um, did it did it survive at all in North America?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If someone says no, they full of shit. Yes.
Okay.
It
Okay.
survived.
Could you give me an example?
You're looking at her. It survived.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, it survived. When I was on my journey, and this is no shade to the Lukumi folk, I never felt the need to learn Spanish to practice an African religion. So I said, I'm gonna go to the source. And it just so
Mm,
happened that, my Aegon sent me back to Dahomey to reconnect with my father's side and get initiated into Oya, the Egbe of Oya, through the Dahomey system, because that's where my people come from. My people are half Fawn and half Yoruba, but we're more so on the Dahomey side.
mm. Wow, that's beautiful. A couple of more
Mhm.
questions before we wrap up.
Sure.
Getting a reading.
Hmm.
Why is that important, and how often should you get a reading? I try
So
to remember the name for reading, but my brain went like
divination, it's okay.
divination. Thank you.
It's okay. So it's important because it sets it gives you a blueprint on how you should conduct yourself and how you should live your life. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you out here living foul, I suggest you get a reading once a month or a divination once a month.
Right up.
But if you are, just trying to find your way, you just want to make sure you are fulfilling your destiny, I say once every 3 months is appropriate. Or unless there's something big or major that's about to come up, maybe you are going up for surgery, or you're trying to get a job, you're trying to move, any kind of big life decision, you kind of want to get a divination on,
Mm,
just so you can avoid any traps along the way. You want to be proactive and not reactive with
gotcha.
respect to getting a divination. Is most important. I tell my clients, please don't wait until shit hits the fan.
Mm,
You want to avoid that by getting a divination. That's step one. Step number two is doing a prescribed ebar. Again, ebar means sacrifice. It doesn't necessarily mean that the client has to go find a chicken and kill a chicken. That's not what I'm saying. Every divination will give you a remedy to your problem. Whether or not you decide to fulfill that or do that particular remedy is totally up to you, because we all have free will.
right on. How can you tell if somebody's in good character on your journey? What things should you look out for or this be aware of?
By the actions, because their audio matches their visual.
Got you.
Yeah. If you meet someone and they uh, live like a gypsy, always changing locations, phone number always changing, they ain't got a
Mm,
pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. They ain't got no money. They can't keep a Elay. Anytime someone goes before them to get a read and they pulling out tarot cards or crystals or water gazing, they might do the guess method. They don't look like they have Iwapweli, gentle character. They just look a hot mess. And you can
mm,
spot messiness a mile away.
that's
That's the
fantastic.
person you want to, I tell folk, run fast, run in the opposite direction. Because your Ori, your spiritual third eye would be like, there's something not right about that particular person. And you need to recognize that red flag. And just don't think that it's gas.
Oh God, yeah. Look, I so enjoyed talking with you. I think you gave us a lot of information. And I thank you so much for spending this time with me and just talking with me. So I'm gonna wrap this up. You have any parting words? But then don't hang up. But you have any parting words?
No, I just hope that I've enlightened some of you all. And feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Afri_Bohemian_snob at Instagram. Facebook, it's Olori Oyadeli Ogunshina. And my website is www.itsolori.com.
Oh wow.
And hopefully my book will be out by maybe the fall of next year.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me. And y'all, I will see you
Um,
again. Peace